Hello, I'm your host and moderator, Thomas Callahan. We release on every first Tuesday of the month, and it's an opportunity to bridge family and friends and allies of the queer community.
I'm Farah Dotis, the PFLAG LA president.
And hi, everyone. I am Corey Berry, and I am advocacy co-chair and DEI officer. It's great to see everyone.
So, our mission is to provide you with information, education, resources, and to support, strengthen advocacy within the LGBTQ plus community. And our guest today is going to be creator and executive producer of Equality Fashion Week, NiK Kacy. The first thing we're going to do, as we always do in our podcast, is have a word or phrase or term of the day. So, Corey?
Yeah, thank you. One of the words that resonates with me on a daily basis, that word is belonging. And with our guest today, I know that that's a significant part of their story, finding their space, finding that opening with others that would be welcoming to them. And belonging is more of just saying you're here and we see you, but it's a feeling as well. So I wanted to highlight that word today because I think it encompasses so much in the LGBTQ plus community. And again, with our guest, that has been a foundation of their experience, their lived experience and their pathway to this point, to their advocacy, civic leadership, and even with their own company. Being supported, being included, that's what belonging really means. As the LGBTQ plus community experiences these things in everyday life where we don't always feel belong, I think belonging is definitely an important word that we should carry with ourselves on a daily basis. And then just when you're in a room or when you're in a space or when you're at an event or in your workplace, you want to make sure others feel welcomed and supported. And that could just be by saying hello. It could be by shaking their hand. It could just be by acknowledging who they are. So with that said, I think NiK can attest to that because NiK has felt that throughout their journey.
Yeah. Thank you, Corey.
NiK Kacy here. Thank you so much for having me. I am the founder. First, my pronouns are he and they, and I'm the founder of NiK Kacy Footwear, the first gender equal footwear and accessories brand. And then I'm also the creator and founder of Equality Fashion Week, the first LGBTQ focused fashion week in LA, and currently probably the only remaining one left in the United States.
Is it really at that level? We're there now, huh?
Yeah, actually, we've been there, I think, since 2 years ago.
Oh,
Mhm.
geez. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Just because it's really hard to
Yeah.
sustain because we don't
Right.
get funding. So, uh,
Right.
yeah, and in fact, this year and last year, I went on hiatus because I didn't wanna be competing for funding with nonprofits that are providing, like, life-saving services, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The
So
priorities. It's hard, the priorities between wanting to celebrate fashion and the LGBTQ plus community, but also the desperate needs for resources, especially with funding as it is during these past few years.
yeah, exactly, and, going back to the word of the day, belonging is, like, that's what my passion is to create experiences and safe spaces where all types of people can feel like they belong, right? And that stems from just me growing up not feeling like I belonged on this planet, you know? Um, but at the same time, I know that right now we are in such dire times. So many millions and millions of dollars have been cut in terms of funding for a lot of organizations, and it just made me realize, yeah, I think it's important what I do, creating these kind of like first of experiences and which have economic impact and elevation for our queer community, particularly those most marginalized, which is the queer, trans, and BIPOC community. And I want to be able to create that belonging for them, but at the same time, if the majority of our QT BIPOC siblings are on the street, unhoused, and unable to feed themselves, then I'm less inclined to be like, let's throw a fashion week, you know?
Right.
So,
Right. Right.
yeah, and the good thing is that, particularly in LA, we're very blessed that there's a lot of different event promoters in LA that create various different spaces where people that are their target audience feel that space to belong in. And because I think there's a pretty regular staple of events for different types of the LGBT and the Q and the I and the A's, right? Like,
Right. Yeah.
I feel like we're not dying for another big event. Like, I think we'll be fine for a year or two without Quality Fashion Week. Whereas I rather channel all the energy I have right now to one, put on my own mask, because my business suffered since COVID, and it's been really hard to get it back up to the momentum before COVID, because we continue to just be confronted by so many challenges. And so that was the first thing I had to learn, was start taking care of me, because if I don't take care of me, I won't be able to take care of anybody else.
Right.
That was a big lesson, because I spent most of the last 30 years, actually, I think most of my life, always trying to take care of other people, because I conditioned myself to think that's where my worthiness came from.
Right. Yes.
When you're born into a world where you're like, wow, I don't really belong here, I don't fit here, I don't even know how to like express myself of how I feel and identify, to make sure I don't get discarded or forgotten or abandoned. Let me be useful.
Right.
If I'm
Let me
useful, no
have
one rid of
utility.
me, right? Exactly.
Right.
And so kind of like devoted my whole life to just being helpful and useful to people.
Right. I feel like it's also a bit of a function of being from East Asian cultures. It's a lot of what we are taught.
Especially when
terms
you're
of-
assigned female at birth.
Right, exactly. You need to be useful and provide utility to the greater good.
Yeah,
Like,
like
it's
I
not
remember,
about
like as
go
an
ahead.
Asian like girl, you're you're basically raised to be like, your literal job is to be of service to everybody else. You know?
Right. Yes,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
So it's very strongly imprinted, I feel,
Yeah.
in that realm.
Nick, while it's in my mind,
Mm.
what resonated with me, just with what you were just saying, as far as you taking care of everybody else, but then you have to recognize that you have to take care of yourself in order to be present and helpful to others. Is there a person in your past that helped you in those moments of trying to find those safe spaces of feeling belonging, that you say, wow, I'm very thankful for that person, and that's who helped me get to where I'm at?
I think that in my life, I'm very blessed that I have a lot of very good friends who are there for me. Even yesterday was reminded by a friend that I'm one of those people who have a hard time asking for help. It's not something that comes comfortably or easily. And the last few years, because of COVID and the struggle is real, I had to really learn to be like, okay, I ask for the community's help constantly when it comes to helping other members of the community. But when it comes to myself, it's so hard, because you're like maybe afraid to let people know that you're not okay. Or if you're not okay, how are the people that you've been helping going to feel hopeful, right? Because they're relying on you. Like, you're the one inspiring them to be okay and like lifting them. So when you're not, then how is it going to make other people feel, right? Like, so there's this like burden of like, I don't want to let anybody down, but I'm very blessed that I have friends that I could be honest with, who are like, Nick, like, you need to ask for help. Or, when I'm sick, who comes and brings me food. Like, I'm very blessed in those ways.
Something about imposing upon others with your own needs. Again, I think coming from East Asian cultures, it's like you don't want to burden others with your own needs,
Right.
but another person's needs are worthy of burdening. Does that make sense? Like, speaking on behalf of others, totally easy. But
Right.
then, like, when it comes to your own needs, it's like, oh, but I'm fine. I can handle it.
And I remember like even like being a child and being taught by my grandma, because my grandma was an amazing chef, and she would always teach me to save the best piece for other people, right? And I remember being a little kid, and I always loved the leg, the drumstick of like a duck, whatever, turkey.
Yeah.
And I remember
duck leg.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And she would always say it, be like, no, like, that's not for you, that's for somebody else who has a higher status in the family, right? Because
And my
obviously,
dad would talk about how back in the day when milk was in the jar, there was the cream at the top, and that went to the head of the household, the father.
yeah. And I think that's the thing, is like being from like that East Asian culture, when you're assigned female at birth, your status in the family is literally at the very,
Right.
very
You're just
bottom.
automatically, yep. Yep.
And
Yeah.
I think that, kind of takes a toll on you mentally. I know it did for me. And not only because I didn't understand, because I was literally like, but I'm like my cousin. He's a boy. Like,
R-
I'm like that.
Right.
Why am I being treated differently? But I
Right.
didn't understand why nobody else saw that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I mean,
So,
because or you're
that,
not supposed to question it, right?
right.
It's just
Yeah.
a given. Yeah.
Right. And also, I'm like, why am I being treated different when I'm also a boy? Because I didn't know how to verbalize that and explain that being in this class of being a girl. So therefore, you're not supposed to speak at the dinner table. You're supposed to just serve everybody else. I remember being so resentful of like, why do all the guys get to sit around and do nothing?
Right.
While we're all
Well,
here
good.
slaving away,
And I read that you grew up in Hong Kong until you were 7. So
Mhm.
you were very like aware of the world and the culture, I assume at that point. Or I guess you were a little bit more online. It's not like you came over as a baby.
Even the experience of like that was more from like my mom's side of the family when
Mhm.
after I came here. In Hong Kong, actually, I was like the baby because my
Okay.
cousins were older than me, and
Okay.
so,
Right.
so in a way, I felt like my grandpa definitely spoiled me a little bit more. And I got,
Because you were
but I
the
was so young. I was probably like below 6 years old, right? So I was kind of just a little kid and being a child. And I think that was the last time I really remember being a child was before I
Mm,
moved here. And after
okay.
I moved here, it was like instant growing up of like, holy shit, like,
Right. Suddenly.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the stress of losing a parent, losing my grandparents, and like the people I grew up with that I felt was 50, right? And then coming into a country I didn't speak any of the language, both English and Mandarin, because that's the language my mom's side of the family spoke. And it was
Okay.
like all these new people that all of a sudden is my family. And then on top of that, I don't know, I just felt very minuscule.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and I think that's something right now, like through lots of therapy, recognizing that I've never experienced being someone's priority.
Mm.
And that's something I continue to struggle with in my relationships, in my day-to-day life, because I prioritize everybody else
Right.
because I wanted to belong.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
And speaking of that, when was the first time that you felt a true sense of belonging and not just acceptance, but that sense that wow, I'm here, regardless of all these other things that I was told growing up or not feeling equal to the boys in my family. But when was that first time that you felt that true sense of belonging, if you can remember?
The most impactful moment where I remember just being like, I am able to be me and I'm so proud to be here was the first time I went to San Francisco Pride. And it's like the top of Dolores Park. We're walking from my friend's house and we get to the apex of the park where you can look down at the entire park. And I just saw this sea of women. And this was before I transitioned. And at the time, I was kind of, I guess, fresh, newly out, and in the lesbian community because I thought that was my only option.
Mhm.
And I just remember looking at the sea of women and being like, wow, like these are my people. I
Right.
belong here. And it was
What age
so,
were you?
I was probably like 22, probably like 22, 23. And I have never seen so many lesbians before in my life. And it was so beautiful because San Francisco queers are much more diverse, I think, than at the time LA was.
Mhm.
So in
Mm.
LA, I had only known West Hollywood. So West Hollywood at the time, this was like 1998, 99. It was very like West Hollywood lesbians, West Hollywood boys. And then you get it to San Francisco and you're just like, holy shit, there's like so many types of queerness here. I definitely belong here because I must belong here, right? And that was such an incredible feeling that every time I think about it, I still get goosebumps and choked up because my whole life never felt like I belonged anywhere. And I feel proud, like proud in a way I never thought I could feel.
Nice.
Hmm.
That's amazing.
Love that.
Yeah. And I think that's why these kind of events matter because it's these spaces that you show up at and you're like, wow, I never imagined, I could not even physically imagine this before. And now I got
Right.
to be a part of it. And it's so
Right.
life-changing. It's life-saving.
Right. Because it's a space to be accepted, but not only accepted, but celebrated, which
Exactly.
is a big deal. And I think that's where it is important to have celebrations, Equality Fashion Week. I know that sometimes it can feel maybe superfluous, but I do feel the power of celebrating people, celebrating just the vast diversity of the LGBTQ plus community is, as you said, so impactful, so life-changing and life-saving.
Mhm.
It's also an opportunity for education, especially for people that are not part of that community, to look from the outside in and go, oh, that's fun. What's the big deal?
Yeah, and Farah, I think you pointed something out very significant. And I think it relates to what NiK had gone throughout life, is that we have to lift each other up. That's part of celebrating. It doesn't have to be an event. It doesn't have to be an award. It doesn't have to be like a rigid kind of thought. It could just be, you know what? Let me lift Farah up today. Let me see, what is she going through? How can I help her? Same thing with NiK, with some of the issues that you've struggled with your company, but you still wanting to do for the community and not do for yourselves. That's where others come in to lift you up. But lifting somebody up also means celebrating them. And just saying a hello can change the trajectory of their lives.
So I read over your bio. My goodness, you had a tumultuous first 20 years of your life. I'm sure we could go real deep in various portions of that. But I wanted to specifically ask you, I saw that it was around high school, I think, that you switched to like a Catholic school in a different area, and that really made a difference in your life. I wanted to sort of ask you about that phase of your life. Church and queerness don't always mix. That's kind of a euphemism there, but yes, kind of what impact it made on your life. Clearly, it was helpful in terms of taking you out of one situation and putting it into another. Where were you kind of on your journey? Just speak a little bit about that experience, if you.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I didn't come out until college, so
Mhm,
this was still my I guess I call it my girly phase.
mhm.
uh, I've always been a tomboy since I was little for obvious reasons. But when I got a chance to start fresh in Jersey at this Catholic high school, I came from this growing up in Queens, Flushing environment where we had a home invasion. So by the time I was in like 5th or 6th grade, I've had a machete knife to my neck, a machine gun to my head. So I have scars from knife wounds. When I look back, and I'm not proud of this, but I remember being a bully because I didn't speak English and I would get picked on, and I remember vividly, like in a movie almost, where you're in the bathroom, like in the girls' bathroom, and there's a circle of predominantly girls of color, to be honest, a lot of Hispanic and Black folks in the community at the time where I lived. And I felt like, in hindsight, like Asians are the more kind of quiet. We're raised to like not fight.
Right, to be
Raised,
docile. Yep.
yeah, that's how we are
Yeah.
supposed to just study, put our head down, and don't bother
Right.
studying, right? Just get straight A's, become a doctor.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember so vividly, even to this day, and always being afraid to go to the girls' bathroom because I would get picked on and called chink and all these names. And I remember in that circle, I was in the middle, basically monkey in the middle, being pushed from one girl to the next girl and being on the floor, being kicked and all of these things. And then was like, enough. I don't need to be treated this way. And then
Right.
I became the bully because that
Okay.
was my
Right.
survival instinct. And I remember becoming so tough that like people wouldn't mess with me anymore. But I was like the principal's favorite because I was still a very good student,
Right.
So yeah, and I
That's
feel like
that's
it was
actually an amazing line to
double life.
toe.
Yeah, right. It's like living this double life where you're kind of the bad kid, but also the really good kid at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I had the opportunity to like start fresh, and now junior high came, I spoke pretty fluent English, and I was like, oh, I get to start fresh this time as the new kid, but who's like not to be fucked with, you know? Sorry, excuse my language. But yeah, so it was really cool because when I got to this Catholic high school, I was like, I'm not afraid of anything. I've had guns and knives. Like, come on, I'm not afraid. And I remember during recess, these girls got into this huge hair pulling fight. And I instinctively just went in to break it up. You know, when I think back to that moment, for me, it gave me the opportunity to let my instincts kick in, which is always like peace. Like,
Right.
this is so stupid. Like, is it over a
Right.
boy? Like, is it over a boy?
Yeah.
You know?
Is he worth it? Yeah.
Right. You know, and I'm like thinking like, oh my God, I can't believe this is what people fight about here in New Jersey. Like,
Right.
and Queens, we're fighting about gangs and drugs and survival.
Right.
But what happened after was the whole school heard about this fight and how I stopped it. And one of the nuns, Sister Donna, I recall, she was my favorite teacher because she was the art teacher and she helped me channel my creativity. But I remember her saying when she saw me, like, "Blessed art thou, peacemaker." And it was such a pivotal moment in my life where I was like, someone just called me the peacemaker. You know, like
Right.
I was like, this is what I could be, you know? But also like, this is who I want to be. I didn't want to be
Right.
those other things. I was forced
Right.
into those things. This is
Right.
actually what I want to be. And I really enjoyed that feeling of like this acknowledgement of like doing good for people, you know? And that's kind of how I kind of started to become the person that I became. Like it was always the other way around. Like, well, if I'm bad and I beat this kid up, the
Yeah.
action is they'll not bother me and
They'll not
bully me.
bother. Yeah.
You know,
Right. Right.
it's like a
Yeah. And
total.
the other aspect of it is also you're being noticed, you know, and that's
In a
also
positive way.
and especially if you're trying to be invisible, then suddenly you notice it's like, wow,
Mhm.
this feels really good. And you keep going.
I'm so blessed, you know, thank goodness that I think leaving home and being independent for so many years here in LA gave me the opportunity to become the person I wanted to be and to face all of the things that I never really understood or all the conditioning and kind of break free from those things. And there's still times when you get familial like judging of like, have you lost weight? Have you gained weight? And I'm always like, why does it matter? Like, you know, like, am I happy?
Right.
Like, why not ask me, are you happy? Are you loved? You know,
Right.
do you have
Right.
heat? Like, you know, like those are the things that matter.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's also why even with Equality Fashion Week, everything I do, everything I've dedicated my life to comes from this place of like, I don't want anyone to ever feel the things I felt. And that's why I create these experiences where I've had hundreds of people tell me for the first time they felt celebrated as just being themselves. For the first time, they got to see somebody on stage that looked like them. Or the first time they were able to put shoes on and feel like they could walk tall as themselves. All of these messages and feedback that I get from people are all the things that I always wished I could have felt when I was young, you know? And so I'm really grateful. Like, what a privilege to be able to have done these things to help other people feel euphoric, you know?
Right.
Because you know, everybody can dream, but not everybody can do.
Right.
Right.
Right. I did want to ask you one question from an ally's perspective. What is a thing or a few things that you think make a really solid ally? Or what are things that allies can do as allies
Mm.
to celebrate and help uplift, celebrate, or even just really see the LGBTQ plus community?
Yeah, you know, I really love your first episode because ally was the word of the day. And it made me actually think. So I'm actually very prepared for this question because we thought about this when I was watching it. To me, ally is a verb. It is a verb because it's an action that an ally needs to take in order to be an ally, right? And something as simple as like coming to like LA Pride. Like I'm on the board of LA Pride and it's going to be June 14th, small plug.
Ooh,
Uh,
thank you.
and, you know, it's an opportunity to show up for the communities that are represented under our beautiful rainbow and like show your allyship by holding a sign, by giving hugs, by, just showing love and seeing the community and celebrating them, whether they're in chaps or not, right? There's so many incredible, diverse queerness in our community. And I think that sometimes people forget because they were conditioned by media, entertainment industry, like shown, oh, this is what gay is, this is what trans is. And no, we're literally just across the spectrum like every other people, just like
Right.
as diverse as every other type of diverseness that exists, right? Like, I think showing up in those kind of spaces is a great way to show allyship. Obviously, one of the bigger things, especially now, in the times that we live in and in this political climate, is vote. Not only our lives depend on it, but also like your friend that is queer's lives are, depending on it. Like vote as if your mother is queer, your sister is queer. Like if people just stopped and thought, what if LGBT is someone I love? How would you then treat those people? And how would you want the person you love to be treated by others? Supporting with your wallet. So many queer businesses since COVID has gone under, at least, because we already are the least funded out of all of the world of entrepreneurship. Particularly trans gets even smaller percentage of any kind of capital, even below women, below people of color. Like we're like 1% of 1% is the kind of funding that we get. For us to sustain, it's really hard. Allyship, buy stuff from us. Even if you don't want to wear it, buy it for somebody else. Get a gift card. I think it's almost infinite amount of ways people can be an ally. They just have to put some thought into it. That's it. My friend, right after I transitioned, I continue to this day to be misgendered on a daily basis. Like literally 5 minutes from now, I could wear the exact same outfit, hair, everything's exactly the same, talking the same, everything's the same. And I will be missed, ma'amed, sirred, gentleman, all in like within the same day. And I find it fascinating because I'm like, wow, how is it possible that so many different people perceive me in such different ways? On the other hand, I think that's kind of awesome too, because that means I don't fit the mold of anything so that nobody can peg me as one thing, which I hope inspires people to be, well, maybe all of us are like that. Maybe all of us are just unique human beings where there is no shape. There is no actual gender. Like that's all a social construct, right? It's not even important, right? But yeah, going back to my friend, after I transitioned, I didn't know, is it safe for me to go to the men's room or the women's room? Because it was before they had changed all of the signs to like gender
Right. To like, yes.
inclusive, and it was so weird. Like I was in a group at a bar and I was like, I'm gonna go pee. And she's like, oh, me too. And then so we go and we ended up in the women's line because also they're cleaner generally. I'm an opportunist when it comes to
It's
that.
true. Yeah.
I just want to go to the cleanest or the shortest line bathroom. And so
Fair.
in this
Yes.
particular case, I was like in the women's line and she was with me. And they got to our turn. I was like, oh, go ahead, you first. And she's like, no, I'm good. You go. I was like, okay. And then when I came out, I realized she never had to go. She just waited in line with me without
Oh.
without calling out anything, without trying to be like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go wait with you, or like, like it's not about her at all. She didn't make it into a thing. She just made a safe space for me to wait in line with. That
Right.
this day, every time I speak at anywhere on things like this, I always give this example as like one of the beautiful way of showing allyship because it did not
Right.
make me diminish my need, but it also didn't exacerbate or exaggerate the need for safety.
Right.
It just normalized it. And I was like,
Right.
that is by far one of the most beautiful things people can do as an ally with their trans friends. Just go to the bathroom, pretend it's
Right.
next to you,
Yeah. Pretend you got to go talk about girls or
Right.
boys.
Exactly.
So that is beautiful. That's a lovely anecdote. Really a small gesture, but really means the world.
And now she's one of my best friends, family, basically. It all just came from that kind of care.
Right.
Mhm.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
If you could talk about your fashion show, just a little about
Yeah.
what that's all about.
So Equality Fashion Week, like I said, is the first LGBTQ focused fashion week in LA, which to my surprise did not exist before. I think there's Trans Latina Coalition's Garris fashion show. There were separate fashion shows, but never something that was dedicated for Fashion Week that was for our community. And so when I created that, it was really important for me to prioritize inclusivity because everything I do is about equality. So I wanted equality to span the spectrum, whether it's disabled folks, body inclusivity, empowerment for folks to just be themselves. And so, yeah, I invite designers. In the beginning, it was just California or Southern California. And now it's kind of reached farther because I want to bring in as much opportunity as I can for folks to give them this platform that I've built and help create visibility for them. And I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just a fashion show or a party. It has to be impactful, and I want it to be educational. So then I expanded to like having a whole conference day where I brought in topics from financial health and wellness, financial literacy, cybersecurity literacy, mental health. I think it was like comedy with, for mental health with Aiden Park. So many topics that I think are under discussed for our community, especially like the QT BIPOC community. We're kind of like the last to know because we're always at this bottom of the totem pole of privilege and access. So it was very important for me to leverage my platform to also provide that to our community so that, that's how we elevate. That's how education, knowledge is power. We learn about cybersecurity and how to protect ourselves, and we learn how to invest and make the most with what little money we make. We need all the help we can get. And so that was something that's really important. And then the final other days was like obviously parties, but connecting all the different like nightlife promoters in our community. So we've got the gays, we've got the lesbians, we've got the goths, we got everybody, because I want to create a space where I want everyone to feel connected, and we need to stop separating and dividing ourselves. Power in numbers. Like the rest of the world already tries to divide us in every possible way, whether it's with our race, our, geography, with our identities and our sexual orientations and all of these things, like who we love. Those are not reasons we should be divided. Those are the things that actually should bring us together. What a beautiful way to represent being a human being when you can understand how everybody else loves. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I had nights for that, and then finally I ended with more of a commerce focused day where I invited I think 50 vendors, LGBTQ vendors and organizations to come and just have tables and give folks in the community, whether you're an ally or within our community, to come support financially. So yeah, it's all those different pillars.
Right. And when is the next one?
Well, I don't know. At this point, either I meet somebody really wealthy that wants to donate a lot of money and help me put it on. I'll do all the work. I just need the funding because I feel conflicted. I know it's important to do it, but I also feel conflicted about like going out for grants and money that I know could go towards housing, harm prevention, food insecurities, right? Like, and people are obviously like still surviving from the fires, right? The aftermath of that. Like there's just an endless list. Like now we've got ICE, like people being torn away from their families. Like it just never ends. Like our trials and tribulations and obstacles do not end. And we have to learn to work together to support one another, get rid of the mentality of like scarcity, right? Like there's plenty to go around, but there is less than before. And there was already very little before. So it's very hard, like to feel like, oh, I'm going to do this. Because I also now know I have to compensate myself for my time and my talents as well. And for a long time, I didn't do that. And so now I know I need to raise even more money so that I can compensate not just 150 other people, but also myself. So if you know any rich people, let me know.
Oh my God, I know. Anyway, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah. I thought about like doing a video. I thought about like just recording a little selfie video, doing like a live talk or something, and being like Taylor Swift, like Miley Cyrus, like
Exactly, like, call out.
Lady Gaga, like all the folks that like are such huge supporters of our community. It's $1 million to them. Just throw me $1 million. Imagine if I could what I create with so little money, imagine if someone just gave me
Yeah.
$1 million. Imagine what I could do with that, right?
I know. It
Yeah.
is. It's amazing. It's true. It's literally just a drop in the bucket for, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, can
Oh,
I just
yes.
add one more thing? I'm so glad to have developed this relationship with PFLAG, obviously, besides just with y'all, but with the org PFLAG itself. And I want to just honor someone that is the reason why that I got involved with PFLAG, and that's Marsha Aizumi, who recently passed away. I met Marsha and Aiden, her son, who's like a trans bro to me now, because of Equality Fashion Week. And I had learned about them and then met them. I met Marsha first at an event and was just like, I need you and Aiden to walk on my runway because this is what we need to see. This is the representation that needs to be out there. And I really related to them on a personal level because of my mom and I's relationship. Her embracing me as trans, and like she's walked on my runway before when in New York when I had a fashion show, my first one. And so I just really love the dynamic of Marsha and Aiden and how they take their story and share it with the world. And that's something I aspire to one day do with my mom. So they got to walk at my last Equality Fashion Week, and I'll never forget that. I will always hold that so close to my heart because all 150 models that were there got to meet them as well. And I hope that as much as Marsha inspired me and made me feel so seen and loved, I think very similar to the way I felt about like Farah and Corey and Allison when I met y'all, is like I felt so cared for, like that my inner child was finally getting that priority of care, and I think that's what Marsha provides for a lot of queer kids, in our community. And so I just want to do a little shout out and honor her because she's the reason why I got involved with PFLAG.
Yes, absolutely. I know that she was very influential and welcoming to not only queer kids, but also fellow parents, making sure that the PFLAG community was always welcoming and inspiring to those who came into the fold. So I appreciate you bringing her up because we should definitely honor her.
I think to maybe round out what we've talked about is we like to ask, what is your hope moving forward, especially with the uncertainty in the LGBT world going forward? What is your hope, NiK?
Oh gosh, I have battled with losing a lot of hope in the last year or a couple of years, but more so this last year. And obviously we all know why. But I also started this year off feeling more hopeful than in a long time because in a way I feel like there's just so much shit happening that it's just so incredibly bad. It's almost
is.
unbelievable, right? And when it's so unbelievable, I hope that it forces people to actually stop and pay attention and be like, wait a second, something is wrong, like really, really wrong, because this is so unbelievable. And so I guess it's a weird hope to have, but I really hope that things are just have gotten so messed up that it finally wakes everybody up and makes them question the system of things. And hopefully it inspires all of us to come up with better solutions to actually change the system versus just putting band-aids on, which I think
Right.
is just what it's been,
That's a great hope. I mean, we have to come up with solutions and we have to all be involved. We can't just sit back.
Right.
And I think voting matters. I think you mentioned that much earlier today. And we all have to vote. We have to let our voices be heard and uplift each other. So thank you for that. I think that's a great hope
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Thank
Yeah.
So Corey had given us the word of the day, which we also do in our podcast. We also like to highlight an event that's happening, in this case, February. And I came across Dating's a Drag King game show, which I guess is back after 2 years. And basically it's a drag king show. It's a parody of the dating game. And as they say, where overconfident bachelors get the chance to woo potential matches. So it sounds like a lot of fun. It is Sunday, February 8th. It's 7:00 at Harvard and Stone, which is Hollywood Boulevard. And again, it's February 8th. It's called Dating's a Drag King Game Show. And we'll put it on the website, and it is free, which is great, February 8th. 7 o'clock.
It sounds
And of course, if anyone has a word they would like us to discuss, or a term or a phrase or an event to promote, please just email us at podcast@pflagla.org, and we will take care of that. Well, thank you for being here, NiK. We really appreciate it. And
thanks for having me.
so just a reminder, Tuesday is our podcast. We release, we're on all the platforms. We also have the YouTube version where you can see us, go back and forth. And Farah, you want to say some thanks to folks that have helped us get here?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I definitely want to thank Anthony, who is PFLAG LA's vice president. We wouldn't operate without him. I wouldn't operate without him. So I want them to be officially acknowledged and know how much I appreciate them. And then I also want to just thank our members and our listeners, because we couldn't do this without you. We hope we're providing solid content for you and things to think about. Words to live by, and hopefully you are making a difference in your corner of the world, and we hope that we're inspiring as well. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again for being with us for this month.
Yeah, thank you. It would be great, if folks want to check out my website and see the things that I design or that I sell. It's nikkacy.com, NiKkacy.com. And if they want to learn more about Equality Fashion Week, it's just equalityfashionweek.com.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome.
And follow me on
and-
the socials.
Sure. And we'll also have that on the PFLAG LA website as well. So I think that's it for this month. We can say thank you again and have a great month. Remember to take care of yourself and each other. And we will talk again in March.
Thank you.
Thank you, NiK.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, NiK.